Modern Thai history has witnessed no shortage of cruel turns, where names once cheered in public squares were soon swept into the shadows beneath the boots of soldiers. But history is a strange spiral, where names thought to have vanished suddenly return, not in the old form, but reborn in a new generation, younger, softer, yet no less resolute. In these days fraught with controversy and a deep yearning for change, the name Paetongtarn Shinawatra, once merely a faint shadow behind her exiled father, suddenly flared brightly on Thailand's political stage like a newly lit torch. She bears no military rank, shouts no bombastic slogans, but carries something Thai politics has long lacked: the memory of a turbulent past and the promise of a future not yet written.
The article below has been compiled from many sources. If there are any mistakes or if you know any interesting information, feel free to leave a comment so I can learn as well. Now, let's begin the article.
From a powerful lineage to a childhood in her father's shadow. Born on August 21, 1986, in the capital city of Bangkok, Paetongtarn Shinawatra did not grow up like an ordinary child. She is the youngest daughter of Thaksin Shinawatra, a telecommunications tycoon, a populist prime minister, and a man whose name would be etched into Thai history, both as a reformer and a fugitive. From her earliest years, the name Shinawatra was a brilliant, blinding light, one that opened the gilded doors of power, yet also cast a heavy shadow over the innocence of her youth. In her early childhood, Paetongtarn enjoyed a life of privilege and comfort, wrapped in the protection of a wealthy and politically influential family. Yet the hushed tones of political conversations, the discreet meetings behind closed doors, and the distant, contemplative gaze of a father focused on something far beyond wealth, all quietly planted seeds of something different within her. In 2006, the military coup that ousted her father left a deep, unhealed scar on the young woman's heart. Her beloved father suddenly vanished from the country, absent not only from family dinners but from the milestones that define growing up. She didn't just lose a father's presence, she lost the carefree simplicity of youth. From then on, she learned to listen, to observe, and to remember. Quietly, without protest, but within that silence, a new generation of the Shinawatra legacy was being forged. After graduating from high school, Paetongtarn enrolled at Thailand's prestigious Chulalongkorn University and later moved to the United Kingdom, earning a master's degree in hotel management from the University of Surrey. Her years abroad not only equipped her with knowledge, but also allowed her to step beyond her family's political orbit. From that distance, she could see Thailand anew, through the eyes of a young global citizen, proud, anxious, and at times, deeply pained. Upon returning home, Paetongtarn did not rush into politics. Instead, she focused on business and charitable work. Yet the tides of Thai politics kept rising, and it became clear that the name Shinawatra had never truly left the stage. Then, in 2022, the Phiu Thai Party brought Paetongtarn into the spotlight, introducing her as a potential future prime ministerial candidate. Suddenly, all eyes turned to her again. No longer the quiet daughter in the background, Paetongtarn emerged as a new face, embodying a delicate balance between tradition and modernity, between the weight of a family's past and the promise of a nation's future. Stepping into politics, her father's legacy and a new dream. As the Phiu Thai Party began restructuring in preparation for the 2023 general election, the name Paetongtarn Shinawatra gradually emerged as a new symbol of succession. She was not merely the daughter of Thaksin. She became the face of a new generation, dynamic, composed, and quietly resolute. At campaign rallies, she did not opt for fiery rhetoric or unrealistic promises. Instead, she spoke of broken trust, the wounds carried by the people, and a dream of building a better, more dignified future for the next generation. With the campaign slogan, "Change for the Future," Paetongtarn became a rallying figure for the youth, those who had never witnessed her father's golden era, yet felt the frustration of Thailand's stagnation. Her gentle smile, unwavering gaze, and the humble way she bowed to every citizen under the sweltering sun gradually shaped a new image. Not that of a red queen inheriting power, but of a daughter earnestly walking the path her father was once forced to abandon. The 2023 election brought a sweeping victory for the Pheu Thai party. Although Paetongtarn did not immediately ascend to the role of prime minister, her voice became an indispensable force within the party and in Thai politics as a whole. In a move full of symbolism, she assumed the role of party organizational chief, becoming the bridge between veteran political figures and a rising generation hungry for reform. The father's shadow returns, and Paetongtarn's dilemma. In August 2023, Thaksin Shinawatra returned to Thailand after more than 15 years in exile. His tearful appearance at Don Mueang Airport stirred more than just personal emotion. It reignited a host of thorny political questions. To some, it was a sign of hope, the closing of an old chapter and the beginning of a new one, led by a younger generation. But to others, it raised suspicions. Was Thaksin returning to reshape the political landscape in his old image, or to finally pass the baton to his successor? For Paetongtarn, this marked the most delicate phase of her political journey. On one hand, she remained the daughter, deeply attached to her father and her family's legacy. On the other, she was now a politician in her own right, with her own dreams, her own vision, and her own responsibility to the people of Thailand. She had to walk a fine line, staying loyal to her roots while proving herself to be an independent leader, not merely a reflection of her father's shadow. Since Thaksin's return, Paetongtarn began appearing more frequently in policy forums, regional summits, and initiatives focused on healthcare reform, social welfare, and green economic development. She chose a path of steady progress, eschewing sensational headlines in favor of thoughtful, measured leadership. She was no longer just the daughter of Thaksin Shinawatra. Slowly, she was becoming Paetongtarn, the leader. An opening chapter, and the quiet message of a new generation. Paetongtarn Shinawatra has become a quiet emblem of a Thailand in transition. She is not a fiery revolutionary, nor a breaker of every old rule. Instead, she stands for something quieter, but no less powerful. The arrival of a new generation of politicians, unburdened by vendettas, driven by the will to heal, to listen, and to renew. Hers is not the Thailand of coups and streets flooded with fury. It is a Thailand that speaks in lower voices, dreams smaller but clearer to dreams, and moves forward one steady step at a time. She doesn't promise palaces in the clouds, only the slow clearing of a path long obscured by dust from past generations. When the monsoon winds swept through Bangkok in early 2023, they carried more than the city's familiar humidity and haze. There was also a name, soft as breath, but increasingly present in the political air: Paetongtarn Shinawatra. not a warrior from the battlefield, nor a reformer with roaring slogans. She emerged quietly, like groundwater seeping through the cracks of a nation long fractured. As the daughter of Thaksin and niece of Yingluck, she bears the heavy shadow of a political dynasty once ousted, once exiled, once called a threat to the military order. And yet, like a seed thought buried too deep to bloom, she did not erupt with thunder. She rose slowly, like roots searching for water beneath parched earth. Unlike her father or her aunt, Paetongtarn does not stir crowds with grand gestures. She sits down. She reads. She listens. She traces the silent weariness in the voices of people long tired of leaders of destiny. She doesn't hand out money. She designs policy. She doesn't shout about reconciliation. She quietly builds tables where conversations begin again. Between the old and the young. Between Bangkok and the provinces. Between memory and hope. Her politics resemble the work of a restorer with a cracked canvas. Gentle, patient, deeply attuned. Step by step, policy by policy, journey by journey into the heartland, she earns trust, not with spectacle, but with care. Under her leadership, farmers are no longer seen merely as a voting bloc. They become central to the nation's strategy for sustainable development. Small things, irrigation reform, digital access to crop data, expanded markets for agricultural exports, take center stage. Thailand ceases to be merely a crossroads for great powers and becomes a country others seek to connect with. And though many still call her Thaksin's heir, Paetongtarn has begun to sow the first seeds of a future no longer shaped by her father's name. A future not crowned by blood or guns, but by quiet intellect, steady hands, and trust reborn after long years of fracture. For in a country long acquainted with instability, it may be that the most radical revolution is simply persistence in peace. Notable policies. Beneath the dim yellow lights of political halls and the golden shadows stretching across rice fields at dusk, Paetongtarn Shinawatra began her real journey, not as Thaksin's daughter, but as the helmswoman of a political vessel swaying between the tides of past and future. Her campaigns no longer resembled jubilant festivals, but instead quiet gatherings with farmers, workers, the elderly, and students. There, she didn't listen merely to understand. She listened to respond, with concrete policies, with empathy, and with action. When the Pheu Thai Party made the decision to appoint her as campaign leader, many were skeptical. Could a young mother with no prior electoral experience win back the heart of a country fractured too many times by division? Yet she answered not with slogans, but with something far rarer in politics: rooted stability. The policies she championed, from healthcare reform and education investment to sustainable agricultural revival, were not designed to score points, but to lay the foundation for a new social order, an order in which people need not bow their heads for aid, but can stand firmly on their own feet. As Thailand entered its post-pandemic phase, Paetongtarn became the face of a new political generation, not driven by bombast or confrontation, but anchored in recovery and unity. In her, the people saw a quiet yet resolute model, a river that flows not with noise, but with enough force to shape the valley. Her visits to remote regions were no longer political theater. They were genuine encounters where she shared simple meals of wild greens and dried fish, then returned to rewrite strategies for those very communities. The further she advanced, the less she resembled her father or her aunt. She made no attempt to revive a past glory, but instead sought to construct a new future, an era in which the Shinawatra name no longer symbolized division, but marked a political coming of age. Amid the lingering shadows of entrenched power, she lit a lamp, not with authority, but with patience. And that kind of light is harder to extinguish than any flame.
Thank you all for following and listening. If you enjoyed and found it interesting, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for our upcoming videos.